In 2018, one bank in a country of 1.3 million people moved $200 billion through a single branch. Not the whole bank. One branch in Estonia, a branch with basically no customers, in a country whose entire yearly economy is smaller than that number. $200 billion passed through it anyway. Nobody in that branch was buying yachts with it. Nobody at that branch was getting rich from the money. They were just moving it from one place to another, quietly turning the bank into a highway for suspicious cash. That bank was Danske. And when investigators finally uncovered what had been happening, it exploded into the largest money laundering scandal Europe had ever seen. And the wild part? The system that let it happen is the same system running right now. Today, somewhere you probably never heard of. So how does a criminal turn a pile of dirty cash into a clean bank balance? Nobody questions. First, you need to understand why money is dirty. It's not about the cash itself. Dollars don't have a smell. It's about the story attached to it. If you sell drugs, run a bribery scheme, skim from a company, or dodge taxes on a massive scale, you end up with cash that has no legal explanation. And cash without an explanation is a problem, because the moment you try to buy a house, a car, or even open a bank account with it, someone eventually asks, where did this come from? Banks are required to ask. Governments are required to ask. And I just have it is not an answer that ends well for you. So criminals do the only thing they can do. They build a fake explanation. That's the entire purpose of money laundering. Not hiding the money, explaining it. There are 3 stages to this. Stage 1 is placement. This is the moment the dirty cash actually enters the financial system. And it's the most dangerous stage for the criminal, because physical cash is traceable the second a bank teller gets involved. In the US, any cash deposit over $10,000 automatically triggers a report to federal regulators. So the obvious move is to just deposit $9,800 instead. Multiple times, multiple banks, multiple days. This is called structuring, and it's such a common tactic that banks now have algorithms built specifically to catch people doing exactly this. The smarter move is a cash business. A kärvaish, a laundromat, a club, a restaurant. Somewhere sales are mostly cash, and nobody can easily prove how many customers actually walked in the door. Claim 200 meals sold today instead of the real 90. Deposit the difference. And on paper, it's just a good night for the restaurant. Stage 2 is layering. And this is where it gets genuinely clever. The goal now isn't to hide the money. It's already inside the banking system. The goal is to move it so many times through so many countries that by the time an investigator tries to trace it back to its source, they give up from sheer exhaustion. This is exactly what happened at that Danske bank branch. Money would arrive from a shell company in one country. It got wired to another shell company somewhere else, then loaned back, then invested, then paid out as a dividend. By move 6 or 7, the paper trail doesn't look like a trail anymore. Shell companies make this possible. A shell company isn't really a company. It's a name, a mailbox, and a bank account. No employees, no product, no office with actual people in it. And in certain places, Delaware included, yes, the actual U.S. state of Delaware, you can register one for a few $100s without ever putting your real name on public record. So when an investigator finally traces the money to a company, that company turns out to be owned by another company, which is owned by a trust, which is managed by a lawyer who legally can't disclose who the client is. That's not an accident. That's the design. Stage 3 is integration, and this is the payoff. The money comes back out clean, ready to spend on things nobody will ever question again. Real estate is the classic move here. Buy a luxury apartment in a major city through an anonymous company. Hold it a year or 2. Sell it. And now your dirty cash is legitimate profit from a property sale. This is a big reason so many luxury buildings in cities like London, Miami, and Dubai sit dark at night. Nobody's living there. Somebody's just parking money in them. Artwork's almost the same way, except it's even less regulated. A painting can sell for tens of millions of dollars, and nobody involved is required to explain where that money came from or even confirm the painting is worth anywhere near that price. Now here's the number that should actually stop you for a second. The United Nations estimates somewhere between $800 billion and $2 trillion gets laundered globally every single year. That's roughly 2 to 5% of the entire world's economic output, laundered every year like clockwork. And of all that money, global law enforcement manages to seize somewhere around 1% of it. 1%. In basically every other field, a 1% success rate would be considered a total failure. In this one, it's just the baseline. So next time you hear about a mysterious shell company buying a penthouse in cash, or an art auction hitting a record price nobody can explain, you'll know exactly what you might actually be looking at.
Thanks for watching. Today, see you in the next video.